Oh man, I want to work at the coffee shop, but I don't want to be too serious. Oh man, what am I going to do about this? Oh, okay. Oh, finally. Oh, finally. All right, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back. It's Adam, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new OroSound Tilde Pro C Plus headset. It's a company out in France, and the reason why I did that intro is namely because I work out of coffee shops like 3 to 4 times a week, and if you've seen my other reviews, you already know that. And I feel self-conscious when I have a serious professional headset with a boom arm on, namely because I do want to be taken seriously on my calls. But there's something about when you're out in public with this that just makes you feel like, God, I feel so serious about it or self-conscious. At least I do. So it's a relief that you can make them look like and function like normal headphones. But I'll get into the functionality more obviously in this review. So shout out to the good fellows at Headset Advisors for providing this headset for review. Obviously, it's not going to change my opinion on the real world usage of this, but definitely had to give them a shout out. So with that said, let's get into it. I hope this helps, and thanks for watching ahead of time. All right, now that I went over that, the design and functionality of this headset, I really wanted to do that first, namely because it's what separates it from the competition, in my opinion. It's the biggest thing, is customizability and how they designed this headset. All right, the sound's gonna throw you off a little bit, but it's because I'm using my MacBook M1 for this microphone test to show the difference of using your computer as opposed to a professional headset when taking a conference call in like a busy coffee shop or something. So I'm gonna play some ambient noise simulating a coffee shop. Wow, that's actually really loud. But hey, let's go extreme. So this is what it. You already get the point. So test 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna turn that off now. Oh wow. All right, now let's switch to the headset. All right, now I have the headset on, and this is what it sounds like in a quiet office. I'm going to take the boom arm off so you can hear what that sounds like in case maybe you forgot this or just didn't want to bring it with you. And then I'm going to reattach it. It attaches really easy too without you really even having to look at it. So now I'm going to play some really loud ambient noise past 90 decibels on the meter from when I tested this before, how loud it was. So let's play that. Oh, yeah, that's really loud. So this is what it sounds like if you were in an extremely loud coffee shop. I'm taking this all the way up, volumes all the way up. Let me take the boom arm off. This is what it sounds like in case you're wondering. So I'll be quiet for a second. I wonder if it does sound pretty good. And there is, let me reattach this real quick. And there is even a little bit of side tone with the boom arm off. Now, let me pause that. So the next thing we're gonna do, that was really loud. Next thing we're gonna do it wired. So let me attach that real quick. Now that I have it connected wired, in my opinion and experience, headsets always sound better connected wired versus Bluetooth. But let's put it to the test with the ambient noise at the same volume level. So this is still at 90 decibels on the meter that was reading when I tested this out. So test 1, 2, 3. And I'll even take the boom arm off to see what it sounds like. Again, there's still side tone, even when it's connected wired. Let me put that back on. Okay, now I'm gonna pause it because it's pretty loud. All right, one more thing I will say too is the headset does have software and an application you can download only on Windows for now. So since I'm an avid MacBook user, I won't update you on what that sounds like or how to use it until I know I can use it on both platforms. So stay tuned. That was the microphone test. Now, because it's an over-the-ear design, what do I think about the active noise canceling? Best way I can put it, and for a specific reason, is it compares and competes with JBL, Skullcandy, and Sennheiser, believe it or not. It's not as good, it's a tad below Bose, it's not as good as Sony, but I bring it up in that way because finding your place with using this headset, I'm pretty sure you're thinking, okay, how is it functionally with just using it as a pair of headphones as opposed to a headset with a boom arm and this and that? I was thoroughly impressed with my testing and using it in a coffee shop. I mean, I actually toggled the ambient aware and toggled it back to noise canceling just to be like, all right, let me see if I notice a big difference. And it really kept me in a zone where I'm like, you know what? It's a lot louder in this coffee shop than I remember after using it for a couple hours with the ANC on. And side tone doesn't affect it, where you hear your own voice and it picks up your own voice every time you talk, but it's not leaving the mic open to where side tone is like, okay, you need to hear yourself. Let me defeat the purpose of ANC. So for me, I'm actually really impressed. I think it did a great job. And now that actually leads me into music quality with these. So which company would I say these remind me of the most when it comes to that? I would say JBL, and namely the Tour ones from JBL. Those have a similar sound signature to these, where long listening sessions of music at a high volume do not hurt my ears. That sounds funny, but think about it. When I would listen to music at a lot of volume with Sony or Skullcandy or other headphones, there's a certain volume level where it's like, okay, you're starting to hurt your ears. Where with these, I don't know how they did it, but even though they get loud, it's that sound signature and the way they tuned it to where it's balanced, to where there's not too much bass, not too many mids, no high pitched highs, if that made sense. But it's balanced enough to where it's comforting to your ears for an enjoyable listening experience with whatever genre. So I would say that's probably the simplest way I can put it is it does really well with music. However, there are some flaws with music and just audio in general. And one of those is no 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and there's no app. So if you don't like the way it sounds, unfortunately you can't equalize it or make any adjustments. With this headset having Bluetooth 5.0 and dual connectivity, what was my real world usage switching between the two? It actually connects pretty seamless. And all you have to do is hold the power button for 5 seconds to connect to one device and then basically turn it off and repeat that process to connect to your laptop, let's say, if you're already connected to your smartphone. Now, switching between the two, calls take priority every single time with these headsets. So if you're listening to something on audio on your computer and a phone call comes in, the headset's going to take precedence to the phone call. But let's say you're listening to audio on two separate devices. It's actually just as seamless as pretty much any great product I use, to where as soon as I stop playing it, maybe it takes 2 seconds to switch, but as long as you pause on one and play on the other, it does it really well. Even when it comes to latency. So I tested out editing a video with these and didn't notice any latency issues. Now, a wired connection is always better than Bluetooth, especially when you're editing videos and things like that. Otherwise, it starts to get choppy at some point. But even with my smartphone and playing video games, no latency at all. So Bluetooth 5.0 holds up really well with these. Now it does have 28 hours of battery life, and let's just say I haven't had to charge it for 3 days. So for me, I think if you're wondering if that's going to last exactly 28 hours, it's probably right on point. To where at some point, I don't think you should ever use your headset until it's dead before being concerned about charging it. But with testing the wired connection and just using this headset on the day-to-day, if it does go dead, you can use that USB-A to USB-C port and the cable it comes with to charge your headset with your laptop or your computer while you're using the headset wired. So if that does come up, at least you do have that as well. And of course, since I wear glasses, I'm going to adjust the headband here, but when I put them on with glasses, the only thing is sometimes I have to adjust my frames, but I think that just goes with any pair of headphones. They feel really comfortable with frames on, and I would say it took maybe about 3 hours of having them on continuously before I kind of noticed a little bit of fatigue in my frames, and I was like, okay, I got to take like a 5-10 minute break. But I would say they are good enough for all day comfort, especially if you don't wear glasses. That's just how it goes if you do. But I think as long as you take a break every few hours, you can use these all day like I have with no issues at all. Now, getting into some of the flaws and quirky things about this headset I noticed while using it is, number one, if you're on a phone call, do not hit the aware mode button to activate your surroundings if somebody is talking to you or needs your attention. Just turn the wheel up to do that, and then you can go back to noise canceling if you need to do so, and you can hit the mute button right here if that's the case as well. So the reason why I say that is I'd hit the aware mode button while on a phone call and it would just hang it up every single time. So be cautious of that, number one. And number two, I would say, is probably the fact that I wish it did have a 3.5mm headphone jack, because I may not always, and I'm coming from Apple products, so with my MacBook, I may not always have my adapter with me. So if I bring these with even the charging cable, it's just not going to function well with Apple products or new products that are coming out with Windows that do not have USB-A anymore as a connection port. And besides those two things, I would say the number one thing they really could have capitalized on, because those two things might not matter, is the look of the headset. They could have took a page out of the Evolve 285 or even the Voyager Focus 2 and maybe did an all black design, or especially a cream or a white grayish color would have looked so much better with this, in my opinion. If they had like a light gray cloth pattern but a white ear cup and a white headband or something. I just wish more companies were daring enough to be different on the colorways they come out with. Where this, the only reason why I say that is I'm like, okay, if I spent $400 on this headset, I would want it to look like I spent 400 bucks on this headset. Especially if you want to flex a little bit with like your coworkers or when you're at a coffee shop. There's something about the self-conscious feeling even with that, where if you get a headset that looks like an Amazon knockoff headset in its look and colorway, this doesn't look like an expensive headset. So I'm not trying to be materialistic, but it definitely matters. All right, with all that said, hopefully this review helped you on wondering if this is a worthwhile headset. I think it's worthwhile on mic performance and ANC especially. But if you want a better looking headset, the Evolve 285 is the way to go. But it's just not as strong with the microphone or ANC as this headset. So there you have it. I hope it helped. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all on the next one.